What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for another review of 90 Day Fiancé Before the 90 Days, Season 5, Episode 10, Time's Up. So we're starting off with Usman and Kimberly. So they wake up the next morning, and after the fight that they had the night before, and Usman is in a really grumpy mood. He's not happy, and even Kimberly, she's a little bit stressed out as well. So they decide to go to take a walk on the beach or go outside. When they're outside walking on the beach, they're holding hands, and Usman is finally getting into a much better mood. So Kim says that she had no idea that he wouldn't even kiss her when he decided to move in with her in the same room. And Usman tells her once again, is it proper to kiss and be intimate if we're not even in a relationship? So then Kim says to him, well, it's part of being, those are the things that you do when you are in a relationship. It's part of being in a relationship. Yeah, we get that, Kim, but you're not in a relationship, so that's why he didn't do it. So Kim threatens to cut off all ties if they're not in a relationship at the time she leaves to go back to California. And in Usman's confessional, he says, Kim is one of my best friends and I have feelings for her. If she's out of my life, I'll be sad. So I'm just like, this relationship is so confusing to me because he if he really wanted to be with her and you wanted to be in a relationship with her because she's so important to you, you have all these feelings for her, then why were you playing games with her? Why didn't you just be in a relationship with her from the get-go? Like as soon as y'all first saw each other, the first day or two, why didn't you just succumb to your feelings and go ahead and make it official? But you kept stringing her along. You did that whole push and pull thing. You want to be close to her, then you pulled back, then you want to be close to her, then you pull back. So this her relationship is like really confusing to me. So then Kim brings up her son and she tells him that, look at how you talked about my son, which I don't even know what she meant by that because he said nothing negative at all about her son. He only said that, out of anger, he says something about how the son is like a child to him because he's older. He's her son's elder, and the son needs to respect him before he gives any respect to the son. But he didn't say anything, offensive or nasty or negative about her son at all. So when she says, well, look how you talked about my son, Usman says that he would definitely respect her son. He tells her, I'll respect your son and I respect everybody else. And so then Kim says, well, you think yelling at me, is that being respectful? Well, y'all were in an argument, and I don't really remember him like actually yelling at her. They were just having a really bad disagreement. So, Kim is one of those women that is very manipulative, and she likes to change the narrative to make herself look like the victim and the other person look like, this aggressive, crazy, yelling loud person. And that wasn't even the case. They were having a regular, normal couples disagreement. Nobody was yelling or screaming. Nobody was talking derogatory about anybody's family members. But she just really started doing this whole, oh, you talked about my son and the way you were yelling at me. None of that happened. These are the kind of women that can put you in some serious trouble. So Kim really wants him to talk to her son, and he finally agrees that yes, he's going to have a conversation with her son. So when he agreed to do that, it made me think, okay, so Usman is definitely making that step to be serious about Kim. So then he tells her, okay, and we're also are going to, take our relationship a little bit further, and we're going to finally become intimate tonight. And, she gets really excited. And then in his confessional, he says, I don't want this drama about intimacy to be the end of us. So if we're going to be in this, I need to take a step and we'll work it out. So when he said that, it made me kind of think, so does he feel like he wants us to believe that in order to keep Kimberly in his life, he has to take this next step and sleep with her? I don't interpret it that way. I think that she is financially funding him. And so for him to continue to have the money flow his way, he has to take that next step and sleep with her. So he's like a gigolo, a prostitute, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, that's what's going on here. That's what my personal opinion. I could be wrong. I could be 1,000% wrong, but it just doesn't make any sense that if you had all of these feelings for her, why did you wait so long to finally give in? So Kim, obviously, she's super duper happy about this. She just can't wait. And in her confessional, she says that, oh, does he want to test out the goods before he finally buys the product? And then Usman, he tells her, well, prepare. I hope your body is strong enough, because he's going to lay down that African love on her so strong and so tough, she won't know if she's coming or going. So in her confessional, she said that she wasn't expecting in a million years that Usman would finally decide or agree to sleep with her. And she says that, but before they take that step, she wants him to talk to her son. I'm like, okay, so why can't he talk to the son afterwards? Why does he have to talk to the son before y'all get down and dirty? That's just like weird to me. So it, to me, was like, that was so strange that she really wanted him to talk to her son like right before they did the deed, like right before she wants him to talk to her son. I'm like, what kind of foreplay is this? This is really crazy. And so it's a really big deal for Kim to introduce Usman to her son Jamal, because she really doesn't discuss her love life with her child. And so for her to introduce her boyfriend, or the man in her life, to her son means that, she's really, things are really progressing in this relationship, and that this is really, really serious for her. So they connect with him online. I think they were using Zoom. And it's just so weird that Usman is talking to her son right before they become intimate. Like that, I couldn't shake that out of my head, like how crazy that was. So Jamal says that so they connect with Jamal, and Jamal says, that they do the regular greeting, hello, hello, how are you? And Jamal says, that he really doesn't trust Usman. He tells him straight up, I really don't trust you, and if you break her heart, I'm the one that's going to have to deal with that and pick up all the pieces. So I really want you to take care of her really good. Usman says that he loves Kim, he loves her loyalty, and that she can handle his life as this, big time entertainer. She doesn't have any type of insecurities when the women are wanting to be around him, when the women are messaging him online and doing all that crazy stuff. She doesn't have any insecurities about that. It doesn't bother her one bit like it did in previous relationships. So Jamal says, well, then you kind of make her sound like an assistant more than a partner. And Usman says, no, that's not it at all. That's not how I see her. He says, I'm not going to hurt your mother. And he talks about how, he's really in this for the right reasons. Jamal is really not that crazy about this relationship, but he's going to go ahead and support his mother. So they end on a really good note. They were both glad that they got the chance to finally meet and talk to each other, and it ended really positively. So Kim, in her confessional, she says that meeting her son means that Usman is taking their relationship really seriously. True. That could be true. If you're not funding this man a single penny, not 1 cent, then yeah, it means a lot that he decided to meet your son. So an hour later, they're back in the hotel room, and Kim is sitting on the edge of the bed, and she's like really, really nervous, and she's nervous, she's excited, the whole anticipation of it all. And Usman is in the bathroom getting ready, and he has on the white hotel robe. He has on his his soldier boy chain, gold chain. He is spraying cologne all over himself, and then he puts on the shades like he's about to do a video shoot, or a video shoot of another nature. So I was like, he is really putting a lot into this. He's really about to rock her world. So Usman says that this is the first time. Oh, this is when it got real funny for me. He said that this is, in his confessional, Usman says this is the first time that Kim is having sex in an African way. So I need to go easy on her, because if I give her too much, she won't be able to walk the next day. I was like, oh my God. And then before they got started, they're laying in the bed talking, and I'm thinking, okay, I thought they were going to get down, get into it, but no, they lay down to the bed and they want to continue to talk. And he says that he pronounces them boyfriend and girlfriend. It is finally official. She's no longer the potential. She is now the official. And he says that from here on out, she will be referred to as Queen Kimberly. So I'm thinking, okay, he made the pronouncement. They're official now. This is his queen. He's her king. So I'm thinking, okay, let's get started. But no, they're still talking. So he actually is sitting up now. He was laying down next to her. Now he's actually sitting up, and they continue talking. And he gives her all the reasons why he decided to make her his girlfriend. He says, you're loyal, you're supportive, and you have real love for me. And Kim is like, oh my God, I'm Soldier Boy's girlfriend, fangirling again. And then hopefully something happened. That's where that scene ended. I thought it was going to end, with him kicking the camera crew out like it normally does with these reality TV shows when they're about to hit it. They kick out the camera crew, but they didn't even do that. So hopefully, he rocked her world, and hopefully she rocked his, and that she's not going to need a wheelchair or a cane the next morning, and she'll be able to walk properly. Hopefully, let's pray that he didn't give her too much of that African love. Moving on to Memphis and Hamza. So Hamza is out clothes shopping with his mother. I guess he's finding his outfit for the wedding, and I think the mother is also looking for the outfit for her outfit for the wedding. So in his confessional, Hamza says that talking about the prenup made him feel like Memphis really didn't trust him, and that she was, anticipating at some point they were going to be getting a divorce. But he says he's going to go ahead and he's going to stick it through. So he tells his mother about the concerns that he has about marrying Hamza, like how she makes huge problems out of small insignificant ones, and the whole prenuptial agreement situation. So the mother was like, well, why wouldn't she trust you? Like, why would she make you sign something, promising that you're not going to take her for her money? Why doesn't she trust you? And the mother is upset that Hamza would even sign the prenup because she says that husbands and wives, she tells them husbands and wives should trust each other. You don't have to sign a contract guaranteeing that if we ever, in the event of a divorce, this is how things are going to go. So the mom was like, this is ridiculous. Y'all are going to be husband and wife. Y'all are going to be married forever. So what is this prenup situation all about? So Hamza says in his confessional that because of what happened to my mother and her divorce, which left her alone, which left her, financially destitute, he says that he's worried that the same thing, his mother is worried that the same thing would happen to him. So she's very protective of her son. Hamza says that he vows to never get divorced after seeing what his parents went through. So to him, divorce is not even an option. And I think in a lot of, well, I don't want to make a generalization, but I feel like maybe in Western cultures, and especially like in America, we have like a over 50% divorce rate here. So I think that, I don't know, I feel like with us, our marriages, it's like when you decide to marry someone, you automatically are thinking about, well, if this doesn't work out, I need to make sure that I have an exit plan. I think for a lot of Americans, that possibility of divorce looms near, and it's more real for us than it is for other people. I think, and it just made me think that maybe people in other countries, when they decide to get married, it's just like automatically we're going to get married and we're going to stay married, and that's just how it is. Whether we're happy or we're not happy, we're stuck with each other for life. And in America, it's just, well, I'm stuck with you until I'm not happy anymore. So mom tells him that they should slow down, and maybe they're rushing into things. So moving on to Memphis. So Memphis, she's FaceTiming her foster sister Ingrid, and she's getting her foster sister all caught up on what's been going on in Tunisia. And she says, that Hamza is not a really good planner. She has an issue with his maturity level. And her sister was like, yeah, because, he's really, really young. And then she tells him, well, what does she say? She says that, oh yeah, then she says, well, yeah, he's a lot younger than I thought. He's not 28, he's actually 26. And she says that he's also unemployed and he's broke. He has no money of his own. And I'm thinking to myself, and you want to marry him? And you think that's a great idea? Okay. So Memphis says that that's why she needs to have a prenuptial agreement, because, he doesn't have anything and she needs to protect herself. Ingrid asked if Memphis had been completely honest with Hamza. Has she told him everything? And then they talk about how she has spent a couple of nights with her ex husband in the very beginning of her relationship with Hamza, and Hamza doesn't know about that. So she's considering telling him about that. And Memphis says that she was going through a dark time in her life or something like that, and she needed a friend or something, so she went to go spend the night or a couple of nights with her ex husband, but nothing happened. It was completely platonic, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, if it was platonic and nothing happened, why bring it up? Why are you risking your very fragile relationship with Hamza by telling him that you spent for you to even bring this up to him would make him think that something must have happened. That's why you feel the need to tell him. And if I don't understand why Ingrid, her foster care sister, would even encourage her to tell Hamza this, knowing how rocky their relationship is. I mean, they are not on good terms right now. Hamza is totally fed up with Memphis is nagging, her controlling ways, this whole prenup thing. He's completely over this. And then you're going to bring up, oh, by the way, I spent the night with my ex-husband when me and you first started talking, but nothing happened. Okay, Memphis, that's a great idea. So Ingrid says that you need to come clean, so on and so forth. And so Memphis, in her confessional, she says that Hamza doesn't know how involved my ex is in my life. We do have a child together. Okay, of course he would be involved in your life because y'all have a child. I mean, like, what are you talking about? How involved your ex is in your life? Is he paying your bills? Is he spending the night at your home? Is he coming over all the time? Does he have his own key to your house and he just comes and goes whenever he pleases? What do you mean? If he's involved, like, as far as the fact that y'all are sharing a child and y'all are co-parenting, that's not a big deal. I'm pretty sure Hamza would understand that. So, like, I guess Hamza's right. She is making a big deal about nothing. She's taking something so small and insignificant and she's making it more dramatic than what it is. Like her spending the night with her ex for whatever reason, but nothing happened. How involved her ex is in her life. Okay, but y'all share a child. He should be involved. So she's trying to like create all this drama. I don't know if she's trying to make him jealous or what the hell she's trying to do, but she's going about this the wrong way. So anyways, so she finds him on the roof. He's exercising on the roof, and she goes up there to talk to him because she's going to break it to him that, she spent 2 platonic nights with her ex-husband however many months ago when she first started talking to Hamza, before they probably were even really like official. So she goes up there and she starts off by telling him that something happened last summer that she needs to tell him about. And he's like, you know what, bump all that. Let's talk about something else. He tells her, I think we really rushed into making this decision to get married. And she's like, what? No, 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 no. And that's where their scene ended. And, yeah, he's completely 100%, 1,000% right. They did rush into this. They have no business getting married and trying to get married right now. So let's see how Memphis will take this on the next episode. Moving on to Jasmine and Gino. So Jasmine has moved into a whole nother bedroom. She doesn't want to share a room anymore with Gino. Jasmine says that I knew that it was too good to be true. I was wondering why he was 52 and still single. The words too good to be true, I really would not associate with Gino, but she does. So Jasmine believes that Gino was still in love with his ex because he said that he wanted to make his ex jealous with the pictures that she sent him. And that's exactly what I said in my last review. For him to have this need or this desire to make his ex jealous, it must mean that he still has feelings for her and like he really wants to stick it to her for some reason. So Jasmine says, I fell in love with a ghost. The person that I thought Gino was, it's not him at all. The person that I fell in love with, that is not the real Gino at all. So back in the room, Gina's by himself and he's saying how, Jasmine was the one for him and he really messed up and he wanted to spend the rest of his life with her. And if he loses Jasmine, he will never find another love like this again. So Jasmine calls her friend Linda. She's talking to Linda. And of course, they're talking about Gino and all this, naked picture stuff. And, as she's talking to her friend, she's getting really riled up, right? So all the anger is coming back now. Before she was feeling sad and, oh my God, I lost the love of my life. But now she's all amped up and energized. So after talking to her friend Linda, she bum rushes into his room and she's like, she goes in there and she's like, you sent nudes to your ex of me that I trusted you with. And Gina says, like, he's like, because he's sitting there, in his bed. I don't know what he was doing, but he was just sitting in the bed doing nothing. And all of a sudden, crazy Jasmine rushes in there and she just starts shouting and yelling at him. And he's like, excuse me, what? Oh, what nudes? And then, they have this thing where he claims that she was not nude. Something about she was just, her breasts were exposed. I don't know if they were really exposed or she was wearing like a bikini top or what was going on there, but they're having some discrepancy on what they consider nude pictures. And so she's like, you know what I'm talking about? And then she rushes to him and she yanks his cap off of his head and throws it outside. And we see Gino in his bald glory, and it's not shocking. It's not devastating. He doesn't look like an alien. So I'm not understanding why he's so insecure about it. But he expeditiously opens up his backpack or his suitcase and pulls out another cap and puts it on his head. He probably has like 1,000 of them in there. Probably has like a baseball cap dispenser that he carries with him. So they're yelling and she's yelling at him, screaming at him. And he tells her, well, if you can't talk to me peacefully, then I need you to leave. And then she's like, well, why the F did you send her my nudes? And he told her, he's like, I already told you, I was just trying to make her jealous. And she was like, that was part of my privacy. How could you do that? How? And so he says, look, I made a mistake. I can't take it back. What's done is done. And so Jasmine says, you know how I feel, you trash, you stupid old man. Speak. Why did you do it? So they're going back and forth with that. And then he says, so she tells him, so is that what I am to you? I'm just a piece of meat. And he tells her, okay, he tells her, no, she says, am I just a piece of meat to you? And she tells him, you're obsessed with her. And he says, no, you're wrong. I'm not obsessed. And please remember that I broke up with her. So then she threatens to post his intimate pictures online. And he's like, do what you got to do. If you want to send them to your ex, go right ahead. I don't have a problem with that. And she's like, well, it's something to brag about. Okay. It's something to brag about. I'm going to post pictures of your little wee all over the internet. And he's like, do whatever. I don't really care. So he says, you know what? It's your choice if that's what you want to do. And she's like, you were my choice, Gino. You were my choice. And then then she lunges at him like she's going to attack him. The producers had to intervene and force her to leave. So the next day, Gino thinks that, he's lost his love for good. He's all sad and forlorn. And, he's like, Jasmine, she was the love of my life and I think I've lost her. And, I don't know if I'm ever going to get her back again. So Jasmine says that she's been crying all night. She's been crying so much that she doesn't think she has any tears left. Jasmine goes back into Gino's room because she says she forgot her purse. So she goes back into the room. And she gets her purse and she tells him that she's leaving, but Gino wants to talk. So he apologizes for what he did. He says, I'm sorry for the pain that I caused you, and the devastation that I caused. And he wants a second chance with her. And he promises that he will never speak to his ex again. And so, he says that he wants to be with her for the long term and that she's the perfect woman for him. So Jasmine says, the only thing that I've ever wanted is I wanted to be loved and I love you. So they hug. She decides to forgive him. And she says in her confessional that when he looks at me, I know that he loves me. And it's really hard to find true love. And I'm just flabbergasted that she is willing to give him a second chance. What does she see in him? He's so awkward. I have yet to see Gino. There's nothing about Gino that screams out to me that he's worth fighting for. I'm trying to be as polite as I can. And it's not even about the looks, because you can have average looks and still have, like this really bomb personality. You can be very, very charming. There can be just something about you that just draws people to you. You can have a certain type of magnetism about you. I don't see that in Gino. I don't understand why she's willing to give him a second chance after what he did. Because the pictures that he sent to his ex, who knows what his ex did with them? Who knows where she could have sent them? And I'm just like, well, I guess she's in love. I guess this is what love is. Maybe that's what I'm not understanding. Maybe this is what love is. There's just something about Gino that just tickles her fancy, and she's willing to give him a second chance, y'all. Let's move on to Mike and Ximena. So Mike is he's back in New York, and we see him organizing and reorganizing and organizing again his room, and he's cleaning everything, and he's making sure that he keeps up with his new routine of cleanliness. And then he takes a picture, and then he sends it to Ximena. So Mike wants to so he wants to keep everything really nice and neat, and he wants to get into that habit of being very clean and orderly because he wants Ximena to have a really clean space when she comes to the United States. So he says that if he's not able to get his own place, Ximena will be living there with Mike and his father and his grandfather and her two kids. And the only thing that I can say is, Mike, let's make it a priority to get your own space. Let's make it a huge priority that you find your own home, your own residence. I understand that you are taking care of your grandfather, but your grandfather does not look like an invalid. You can still take care of your grandfather. You can come visit him every single day to make sure that he's okay. But if you want to have a wife and children and a family, yeah, let's seriously work on getting your own home. And living with your family, with your father and your grandfather, should not be an option. It should not be a plan B. It should not be the second choice. None of that. Let's just work on getting your own home. So Mike has been talking to a lawyer about the visa process because he plans to get married to Ximena the very next month in Colombia. So he takes a picture. Okay, so yeah, that's what he wants to do. So he says that Ximena is being a little bit distant and very standoffish, like there's something going on, and that the relationship has kind of shifted a little bit. So because his job allows him to work remotely, it's nothing for him to hop on a plane, go to Colombia, and visit Ximena and still continue to work. So that's what he plans to do. So he sits down and he talks with his father and his grandfather that, he's getting ready to go back to Colombia. And he talks about how Ximena has been acting kind of strange lately. And Mike says that Ximena has mentioned getting plastic surgery. She wants to get her boobs done and she wants to get a tummy tuck. So, and she wants Mike to pay for it. And the grandfather is like, oh, hell no. No, 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 no. You are not going to be paying for her plastic surgery. That is not happening on my watch. And he says that Mike has other responsibilities that he needs to consider. And I'm like, what other responsibilities does he have? Like taking care of the two of y'all? Like, what are you talking about? So the father asks Mike if Mike is still paying her rent. And Mike says that he is still paying for half of her rent. And I'm just like, I don't think so. I don't think he's paying half of her rent. I think he's still paying all of it. The father says that Mike should stop, financially supporting Ximena altogether. The father says in his confessional that I think Ximena is using Michael to get her bills paid and to live this lavish lifestyle. And I don't know why he's making her his responsibility. What do you mean you don't know why? He wants to marry Ximena. This is his future wife. So he has to take care of her. So why are you confused, Dad? So so the father says when the money runs out, the love is gone. And we kind of see a hint of that when he arrives in Colombia. So Mike says in his confessional that we need to work on our relationship, and that's why he's going back to Colombia. He probably thinks that she's fooling around with somebody else, and he wants to get to the bottom of it. And that's why he's making a rush trip to Colombia. So Mike arrives in Colombia. Ximena doesn't even meet him at the airport, y'all. She's like, okay, I'll see you when you get here. She does not even meet him at the airport. So he he arrives at her home, and when he arrives there, knocks on the door. She opens the door. They hug, and he says once again in Spanish, "I love you." And this time, she didn't even reciprocate. She didn't say it back. And I know she heard him. I know she did, but she didn't even say it back. And did y'all see that humongous, I don't know, 65-inch at least television that was on her wall? That television was huge. Mike. So they sit down, and as soon as he sits down on the couch, she can smell poop. And I was like, what the hell? Why is she smelling poop? Evidently, Mike has stepped into some dog poop or whatever outside, and he tracked it inside into her, very clean apartment. And I'm just like, Mike, you can never get a fair break with Ximena. So after this huge discussion, you changing your whole life to be more clean, to be more organized. Now you come into her apartment, her clean, spotless apartment, and with dog poop on your shoes, and you're getting it all over her floors. Absolutely disgusting, Mike. So he feels really embarrassed about that. And so, oh, okay. Where am I? I'm just so discombobulated. So, Ximena says in her confessional that this trip was different from his previous trip, because the first trip she was so in love with him and she couldn't wait to see him, and it was nothing but hearts and roses all over the place. But now when he went back to the United States, she said that she's had more time to think things through, and she realizes that he's very, very clingy and she needs her space. And I'm like, girl, you have your space. You are living in two different countries. How much more space do you need? So Jimena's sister, she's there as well. And so they're sitting there, they're talking, and he says that he came there to spend time with Ximena and the kids and to meet the rest of her family. And Ximena says that, there's this discussion about when he was actually supposed to come back to Colombia. Ximena says that he wasn't supposed to come back now. He was supposed to come back later, after her surgery. So she had asked Mike for money for her plastic surgery, and Mike had refused to give her the money. So she had to go to a loan shark to get the money, to borrow the money for her surgery. So she had her surgery planned, but then Mike shows up out of nowhere unexpectedly. And, well, not unexpectedly, because he did tell her he was coming, but he wasn't supposed to come at that time. Ximena thought that he was going to come after her surgery. So because he came a little bit prematurely, she couldn't get her surgery. So she had to postpone or cancel her surgery. She's really upset about that. Ximena is in a bad mood. Okay, she's in a really funky mood. She is not happy at all. And I think it stems from not so much him coming early, but it stems from the fact that he wouldn't pay for her plastic surgery. I think she's upset about that. So, but she said that she's hoping that they can somehow get their spark back. And, the next, so then they plan to go out. So she says, well, I plan to go out to go drinking or go to the bars or whatever. And, she's not going to stop, her life just because he showed up. And he's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, we'll go together. So evidently they went out together. The next morning, he tries to wake her up, but she's so tired, she doesn't even wake up. And the night before, they went to the club together, and he couldn't hang because he had to go to work in the morning. So he ends up coming home early. So when Ximena finally wakes up and comes downstairs to talk to him, they talk about the night before, and he was like, what time did you finally come home last night? And she's like, 9 o'clock in the morning. I was like, damn, girl. Okay. And she tells us in her confessional that in Colombia, that's like normal stuff. When people go out, they'll stay out until 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, grab breakfast, and then go back home. Yeah, that's all good, girl, but you got kids. So anyways, whatever. So Mike is a little bit disappointed. He's like, I was really disappointed that my very first night back, we didn't even get to really spend it together because you wanted to be at the club all night long. And he asked her, so what did you do there after I left? Were you talking to men or were you hanging out with men? And Ximena was like, well, yeah, obviously there were men there, but I wasn't like hanging out with them. And, Mike is unhappy about this, about having to be left alone, and she's out there clubbing and drinking. And then we see Mike in this whole new confessional. Okay, he is dressed up. He has on a black tank top. He has on a gold chain. He's like all thugged out. And he says that Ximena is not making him a priority like she did on the first trip. Yeah, because you're not. So Mike says, so then they have this conversation about trust. He's like, well, I trust you and everything. I'm not, I know you want to hang out with your friends and have a good time and stuff. So yeah, I trust you. And Ximena tells him, well, if you trust me, why are we even having this conversation? So then she gets really frustrated and she leaves. And then Mike says that he only has 10 days this time and that he hopes that things will get better. And if not, then the relationship is not going to work because he feels like he's the only one putting in the effort. Well, Mike, you messed up. You should have given her the money for her plastic surgery. You know what's going on here. Please don't play stupid. Um, yeah, she changed that quick just because she wouldn't give he wouldn't give her any money for her boob job and her tummy tuck. She changed that quick, and that lets you know what she's all about. And Mike knows what she's all about. He needs to stop acting stupid. He knows what's going on here. And she wants to do all of this augmentation on her body because she wants to work as a model. So to me, it makes me, I feel like she's already planning on breaking up with him. She wants to get her body fixed, make her own money as a model, and I think after that she's going to break up with him if he's going to continue to act like this is all about love and nothing else but love. Moving on to Ella and Johnny. So Ella plans to meet Johnny in Dubai and she's looking for tickets. So she books her ticket and it cost her $1,124 for her round trip ticket to Dubai. So she calls Johnny and she tells him, look, I got the tickets for Dubai and I plan on seeing you there. And Johnny is like, well, you know, the rules and the policies here in China have changed. So now I have to quarantine 5 weeks in China before I guess he could leave for Dubai. And in his confessional, Johnny says that he wants to meet with Ella as soon as possible, but China's COVID policies are very, very, very strict. And to meet Ella for 2 weeks is not worth being in quarantine for 5 weeks and then running the risk of getting COVID on top of that. So he says it's just too much of a sacrifice for a very short visit. Johnny tells Ella that maybe they should wait until the restrictions loosen up a little bit. Ella's not trying to hear any of that. She's like, look, I'm starting to feel like you really had no intentions of meeting me at all. You had no intentions of coming to America. You had no intentions of really going to meet me in Dubai. You have no intentions of doing any of that at all. So I need to come up with a plan B, and plan B to me is meeting other people and having an open relationship. And Johnny's eyes got really big and he was like, no, 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 no. We can wait a little bit longer. And she's not trying to hear any of that. She's like, that's not it at all. She's like, that's not going to work for me. She says, I want to meet you now. And with you, it's always a waiting game. So she's like, if we can't do this now, then yeah, I want to see other people. And that's that. And in her confessional, she says that she's almost 30 years old. She wants to start a family and time is of the essence for her. She doesn't have time to be playing these games. So she says that she's going to give him a few days. She tells him, look, I'll give you a few days to think about it. And then you can let me know where your final decision is. So she starts to cry because she's like, you know what? All I ever really wanted was for someone to love me as much as I love them. That's all I've ever really wanted. And he's up here playing games when she thought that, you know, he was the one for her. So Johnny still doesn't think that going to Dubai is a good idea. Johnny meets with his chubby friend and he's telling his friend, you know, look, I'm really worried about Ella because she's really insisting that we meet in Dubai. But you know how the situation is with the quarantine. I'm going to have to quarantine for 5 weeks. And then if I end up catching COVID in Dubai, then I can't come back until, you know, the virus runs its course or whatever. So he's like, you know, what am I supposed to do? And so the friend is like, well, why don't you just wait a couple of months? And he's like, no, Ella doesn't want to do that. Ella wants to do it right now. And she tells him that if I can't meet her in Dubai now, that she's going to, you know, go see other people. And the thought of her being with other men, that's just not, you know, acceptable for me. And so the friend says, well, then go meet her. You know, if this is the love of your life, this is your woman, get the hell out of here. Go to Dubai. Go meet your woman. Stop playing games. Stop acting silly over here. So, but he's still having, you know, second thoughts about it. Ben and Mahogany. Here we go, y'all. So Ben is still at the restaurant waiting for Mahogany to appear. And he asks the waitress, what time does the restaurant close? And the waitress says, we close at 11 p.m. It is now 9 o'clock. And I'm thinking to myself, does he really plan to stay there until it closes, waiting for Mahogany? And I want to know what motivates him, what drives him to sit there in that chair without even any food in front of him, waiting for her to show up when there has been absolutely zero communication between them since he's arrived in where are they, Peru? Yeah, since he's arrived in Peru. So as he's sitting there waiting, all of a sudden we hear the clickety clack of footsteps coming down this long hallway. And who should emerge but Mahogany herself in the flesh? Let the heavens open and let's hear the angels sing. Mahogany is real and she has arrived for her love, Ben. So when he sees her, they embrace, and Mahogany says, and first when they were hugging, she was like, oh my God, I can't believe this is real. Oh my God, I can't believe this. Like she was like really shocked that, they were finally meeting in person. And he is just so happy. I mean, you can see all of his teeth. He is smiling so hard. He's just so happy to finally get to meet her. And I'm like so happy that she's real. And I'm happy that I was proven wrong, because I was like, oh my God, if this doesn't happen, we've wasted our time with this whole Ben story. But luckily I was wrong. Mahogany is real. Well, let's put it like this. The woman in front of him is real. The pictures that she sent him, not so much. So Mahogany, Mahogany in her confessional, she says that she was very nervous to come and she almost didn't even show up. She said that her parents were very much against it because they think that Ben has, not so good intentions with their daughter, but she wanted to see for herself what he was really all about. And Mahogany is very, very pretty. I don't understand why she wouldn't just send him the pictures of her actual self, because she's a very cute girl. But those pictures, I mean, talk about some serious. I don't even know if that was even her. If that was her, that was some serious filtering. I mean, it did, those pictures and the real Mahogany almost look like two different people. Almost. Even the eye color was like completely different. So, if she was gonna come meet him, why wasn't she responding to any of his messages, his text messages, his calls? Why wasn't she responding if she had plans to meet him? Like, how long was she expecting this man to wait for her? Anyways, so Mahogany says that it was too difficult for her to go to the airport to meet him and that it didn't feel right. I was like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? What does that mean? Why was it difficult for you to go meet him at the airport? Like, what was that all about? So Ben says, well, what do you think about the real Ben Hameen? And she goes, well, you're very different from what I thought, but you're different in a good way. So in her confessional, she says that he's not as muscular as he appeared in his pictures and that his body was a little bit smaller than she was anticipating, but his personality was about the same. Okay. The pictures that we saw of Ben, the pictures that he posts online, to me, they pretty much look like him. So what if he's not as cut as he was in the pictures? It's still pretty much the same. But Mahogany girlfriend, that was a catfish. You're talking about how he doesn't look like, girl. Your pictures were completely digital. I mean, that person was not real. That picture does not look like you at all, sweetheart. So, yeah. Anyways, so Mahogany says to him, well, what do you think about me? And Ben Hameen says, you know what? I love your smile. And he says it in Spanish. I guess he was trying to show off his Spanish. But in his confessional, he says that in person, Mahogany looks a little different than the pictures. I could tell the pictures that she sent me were doctored a little bit. A little bit, Ben. A little bit. The shape of the face was different. The pictures online, her face, the shape of it was more heart shaped, a lot smaller. The skin was a lot paler. The eyes were a different color. The real Mahogany, her face is a little bit rounder. There's nothing wrong with the real Mahogany. I mean, I don't understand why she didn't send him the pictures of her actual self. There was nothing wrong at all with her real pictures, but those pictures were fabricated. So they order food, some empanadas, and Ben says, what did he say? Why do you, so Ben asked her, straight up, like, why do you love me? And Mahogany says, well, you have an enormous heart. You're beautiful. You have a beautiful soul and you love God. But I need to know you better, because as soon as they met, I think he told her, I love you. I think when they were hugging, I think he told her, I love you. And, she says that she needs a little bit more time to get to know him better. Now, every time the camera was on her, I was just like, girl, those pictures were not you. They were not you at all. Anyway, so Mahogany says in her confessional that he's nice, he's attractive, but his feelings for me are a lot stronger than what I feel for him, and he wants to take things more seriously, but I need more time to decide. So, okay, let me try to understand this. So online, when y'all were communicating back and forth, you were just like telling him all kinds of expressions of love, how you saw a future with him, wanted to have children with him. So what's so different now? I don't understand. Like, if before you even met him, you were like hot and heavy for him. Now that you actually see him, you're like, oh yeah, I need more time to think about it. Yeah, we need to kind of slow down a little bit. Like, what's tea, girl? What's really going on? He ain't that cute. Like, what's going on here? So at the end of the evening, he walks her to her car and he tells her that he wants to hug her. And he says, I want to hug you. And she's like, what? He says, I want to hug you. So they embrace, and it was awkward because she was kind of like, oh, that's enough now. When he probably wanted to hug her longer and more. But she looked uncomfortable. And as he hugged her, he tells her that he says, I love you so much. And I'm so glad you came to see me. And you're an amazing person. And she says to him, yeah, you too. And then he says it again. This is the third time he said it now. He says, I love you. And she says nothing and gets in her car and drives off. So Ben says, she's not reciprocating and she's not saying I love you, and she's different than the way she was online. You think? Yeah. I don't know what was going on with Mahogany online. I don't understand, because he did give her money, right? Because I remember he told his friends and he told his family that he was giving her money. So maybe for her, it's just a financial arrangement. Maybe that's what it is. She just wants the moolah. And she didn't think that she would actually have to show up and, like be a part of his life. She also mentioned that she says that Ben believes that God has sent me, that God has placed me in his life. She did say that. So, like, what is going on here? Are you really looking for a relationship with this man, or is it just about money for you? And you thought that you could just string him along without having to put in any work, and he was just going to continue to fund your life? So, like, what is really happening here? I really thought that, well, first of all, I didn't think Mahogany was real. But now that she actually showed up, I started thinking, okay, maybe she's in this for the right reasons. Like, she really is interested in him. But now I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Mahogany. But Mahogany is real. Those pictures aren't. He still fell in love with a CGI, in my opinion, a computer generated image, because that picture of Mahogany, those completely 1,000% computer generated. So I was right about that. He did fall in love with the CGI, but there is a real human being named Mahogany, and she did come and finally meet him. So let's see how this story unfolds. Thank you so much for joining me. If you made it this long, I appreciate you more than you'll ever know. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will definitely talk to you later. Bye.